If you're not, please, you can yell at me. Who am I? My name is Marcos Sanchez. I work at the Biostats core at CAMH. I have been with CAMH since 2011, or some 10 years already. So I have been working with all sort of research, right? From epidemiology to clinical trials, cross-sectional data surveys, time series, etc. And my job is to help you. We're gonna have a little bit more next slide. So usually at CAMH, you're gonna go through this project life cycle, right? A grant application, data collection, data analysis, manuscript writing. So we are able to help you anywhere in that process, as long as there is some question or something we can help with that is related to statistical analysis. So anything about statistical analysis, don't hesitate, reach out to us, okay? We're also very happy to collaborate in your project. If you have a grant application or paper that you want to write, but it's kind of difficult to do the statistical analysis, or you want to know another pair of eyes, we are there for that as well. All our services are free. We don't have a fee except if you ask us to do something. If we do the data analysis, for example, then there is a fee, okay? There is a fee that you're going to charge. If we have to do the data analysis, in that case, you're going to deliver a report to you. We're going to help you with manuscript and everything. But because we did the data analysis, there will be a fee. That's the only case. Other cases, consulting in general, statistical meetings, those things, we usually don't have a fee, okay? So you should reach out. So in the next slide, you should have those slides. You have my contact or how to contact us. This request form is being updated, so this link is gonna soon change. But my email is not changing. So you can always reach out to me, marcos.sanchez@camh.ca, or there are three other folks in my team that you can also contact, right? Wei, Clement, and Sheng. Don't feel afraid. Just send me an email and I will get back to you as soon as possible, okay? Okay, so now to the fun part. Today's workshop is about R and RStudio, okay? Those two workshops are free and you can download them in the internet. You can get them for free on the internet. You can just search for R or RStudio, and it should be easy for you to find the website and download and install the software, right? The link is there as well. I will just go quickly, right? So let's say that you want to install R, right? So usually I type R project, right? You're gonna get right there, the R project for statistical computing. Like I use Windows, so there is a link right here, probably where I find it. But let's just go to the main website. So this is the R website, right? And then you have download Chrome. So you click here. It's gonna ask you to choose, right? Usually you're gonna go to Canada, choose a server, so you can choose anyone, doesn't need to be in Canada. In my case, it would be download R for Windows, okay? I want the base R, right? If it's the first time you're installing things, you want to install the base, okay? And then that is it. You click here, you should download the most recent R version and install it. That is the first thing. You're gonna have to go through the installation, right? If I click open, then it's gonna start installing. So you're gonna have the according to your operational system, if you use a Windows or Mac or whatever, you're gonna have to go through the process of installing R in your computer. And that is going to probably require that you have administrator's rights over your machine, right? So many people who use CAMH machine, they may find problem installing R because they may not have administrator's rights over their machine, right? So the machine doesn't let them install things there. Otherwise, if it's your home computer, you should be able to install R, okay? And that's basically it. If you have any question, if you try to install, you're not able to, we can try to help you, right? Come to the office hours next Wednesday from 11 to 12. And we can try to help you there, okay? And so how about RStudio, right? So you can type RStudio on Google, right? And then you have the website right there, right? You see, download RStudio. Let's go to the main website. This is also software that should be free, right? So let's see if I extend this website. RStudio. So this, I think this would be the link. Download free desktop IDE, okay? Then choose your version. You're gonna always choose the free version, okay? You don't need to choose any other. If you're installing it on your computer, it would be this first one, right? The free version. It is good enough. The others have other things there, features and etc. But this one is good enough. And so you can just click this button and should download it. It goes here to this page. In my case, I have a Windows, right? If you have other operational system, you should be able to install it as well, right? Hopefully, you see you have like all operational system here, but for me it's appearing right here, so we can just click here. I hope for you it's going to be as easy as that. And then you click there, if I click open, and it's going to start installing it, okay? Again, you should have admin rights over your computer. All right, so it should not be difficult for you to install. If you install R in RStudio, then I hope you're going to be able to follow along as we do things. You can do it with us, okay? If you have any question, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, right? If you put your question in the chat, I'm not sure I can see it. My eyes are not very good. It's a little hard for me to read there, and I may miss you. But if you speak, then there's no problem. Or you can send me an email, if you are trying to install it, it's not working. I'm not the most savvy computer expert, but those two softwares should be easy to install. Now, why do we need two softwares, right? One is R and the other is RStudio. R is a dry software, like it's a programming language, right? So if you open R, which you can, you're not going to see much there. It's just like a window that you can type commands there and do things. RStudio is what we call integrated development environment, right? It is a IDE. It is a program that tries to make R easier to use. And at least for me, once I used to use R, before RStudio came along. But once I started using RStudio, I just got addicted to it, and it's much easier. It makes your life much easier than just using R, okay? And once you open RStudio, it will automatically connect to R. So you don't need to worry about R. You have to install R, like we demonstrated. But then once you do that, it's gonna always be there on when you open RStudio. You just need to open and close and work with RStudio. Okay, RStudio will automatically connect with R, and we're gonna see a little bit of that. So I have this slide where I try to give you some organization tips. So I think one issue people have in using R and RStudio is that they get a little bit lost, right? RStudio has this thing, project, create a project, and people that are not familiar with its use sometimes gets a little lost, what is a project and things like that. So I think this might help, if you follow this point 128. So the first thing you have to do, and we are going to go through this, first thing before you do your data analysis is to create a folder. Okay, so let's be organized. Let's create a folder for our data analysis. So by now, for example, you should have created a folder for, let's say, this workshop, okay? And then in that folder, you can put this PowerPoint, you can put, the .rmd, which is a R markdown file, you can put it there. And everything related to what we're gonna do today, you can put it there. That's gonna be a little project, right? That folder. But it's important that it is in a folder because for RStudio, that folder is going to be the project, right? Once you have that folder and you want to do your analysis there, you have your data set there, everything there that you need. You can create subfolders there as well. But then you can open RStudio. And then we are going to do those things together, right? We're going to open RStudio in a while. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the agenda. So now, now we're gonna, I'm assuming you did point one, right? I think I explained in my email yesterday in the invite for today's workshop. Create folder. Everything I sent to you, put in that folder, right? You can name the folder whatever you want. Good if it's a suggestive name, but this is workshop 1R, something like that. So you create a folder, everything is there. Okay, so now you're gonna open RStudio. You can go to the start menu and RStudio will be here, letter R, right? So I have R and RStudio. If I open R, right, see I have many R installed, many versions. If I open R, that's what I get. It is just a window where you can type in your command. Here in the menu, you don't have many things, right? This is not like SPSS. So this is a little bit dry, people like myself in the old times we used to use R. But nowadays, this is a little bit too much of a programming thing, right? It's not very friendly. So don't worry about R. Okay, you go to your start menu and open RStudio. This one here, okay? RStudio. You should have it there also have it installed in your computer. RStudio will always open the last project that you worked on, right? In my case, it opened here. We have some data sets, it's this folder. You can see here a pathway to a folder called R. And that's the last project I worked on, so it opened there, right? But now I don't want to work on that project anymore. So the first thing we want to do a new data analysis, the first thing is to create an R project, okay? Let's go back to that's how you do it, okay? Point number 3, you create an R project for the analysis that you're gonna do. So you go to File, New Project, okay? Because I don't wanna work on this old project that I was working with. If you are opening RStudio for the first time, you're not gonna see anything here, I think, because you didn't work on any project. It's the first time. But anyway, so I want to create a new project in the workshop 1 folder. Okay, so I click that new project. Because I created the folder already, right? This is R and RStudio overview folder that I created, and I have all the material there. So it is an existing directory, right? I don't need to create a new, it is an existing. And I would advise you to always do that. Create the folder before you open RStudio, so that when you get here, the folder is already there, okay? Existing directory. Then here we click browse and you navigate to that directory, right? So in my case, it's going to be this folder, right? I created this folder, and inside this folder, I put all the material, right? So this is the folder. R and RStudio overview, which is this workshop. So I put everything I sent to you there. This is the only file I did not send to you, but that doesn't matter. So those 3 files I put there, and now I'm going to create a project here, an RStudio project, right? So that's what, if we go back to RStudio, right? When I go browse, go to the folder, R and RStudio overview, right? And then open, meaning create a project there, okay? And then I can just create a project. Once I create the project, RStudio is going to close all of this, okay? And open a new project, which is going to be in that folder, okay? Now, if I go back to that folder, I have some extra files there. RStudio create a project file, right? So this is a .rproj, so it was created now. And it created also a folder where it's going to store its things, okay? So it creates project in the folder. Now imagine that you do your data analysis and you want to, continue doing it a month from now. You can just come here in this folder and double click this project. Okay, when you want to visit a data analysis that you did in the past, you can just go to the folder and there will be a .rproj file there. You double click it, it will open in RStudio. Okay, so this is RStudio, and this is the folder. You can see R and SPSS overview. Here is the folder where we are, and here it's showing, right? If I mean the file here, it's showing here all the files that I have in that folder, right? It's right there. RStudio has other features, right? I just give you a quick tour. So what you see here on the left, this is the console. This is basically R. This is when I opened the R before for you to see. This is it, right? It was a white background, but that's the only difference. This is R. And anything you type here, command, anything, it's gonna be interpreted by R as, you're asking it to do something. But besides R, RStudio has all of these right on the right side here, which are The files, you have easy access to the file in your project. If you have done some plots, they're gonna be here, right? We're gonna look at how R works with package. So here you're gonna be able to see which package you have installed. You can, if you ask for some help, if you want to look at our documentation, it's going to be here in the help. And there are other things that are those, right? Like tables, stuff that are formatted in HTML that it may show you here in the viewer, okay? Dataset, regression results, things, models will appear here, right? So if you have a data, if you import a data set, things like that, you're going to see it here. We're going to see a little of that today. So this is the environment, the R environment. It shows you everything you have in that environment, right? The data set you're working with, if you have a regression model, if you have, a vector, a variable, program, a function that you created, anything you have created for this section will appear here in the environment. The history will track, everything you type here, right? So if you type 1 plus 1 in R, the history starts tracking it, okay? So if you to do some calculation there, and it keeps tracking everything you do, okay? The history. And that's good because sometimes you forget about what you did. You can just come to history and, you scroll up and down till you find what you did and the code for that. Okay, you have other tabs there that are not very important. I'm not gonna go over that. Yeah, the tutorial, you can take a look. I never looked into this. I'm not really. You can explore, right? That's your homework. What else? In tools, I like to go to global options, right? You usually don't need to change anything here, but I really like the appearance here. I like to change it, like you can see that my RStudio is dark, so you can change here the theme, right? And the color, the font size, right? I put everything big because I don't see very well, but you can choose, different themes, different colors. You can play around. It's very cool. There are other things here, but I don't think in general you don't need to worry about the other things that we have here, okay? The default will usually work well. But the appearance, right? The how art looks, that's one cool thing. What else? I think that's basically it, just a quick tour. If you're starting using R, you're gonna usually not need to worry about the other things here, okay? You're not gonna find here statistical analysis. RStudio don't help you with that. Statistical analysis is you're gonna still have to type in your code, okay? You're gonna have to still type in your code. So navigate to your folder, create a project, we did that. Go to file, new file, R Markdown. So now you're gonna start doing your analysis, right? There is something called reproducible research in science, which is very important. And that means, this is very strong among our community. It means that you want to store and have a good record of everything you do, right? You want to have the code of everything you do saved somewhere, right? So I would say you could always type things here, right, in the console and do your analysis just by typing things here. And the only place it would be recorded would be the history, right? But that's not a good practice. A good practice is that you have a file, which is either an R script file or an R markdown file, where you store all your codes, right? So our next step is just to create one such file. And I'm going to create a R markdown, right? Again, this is just a file where I'm going to save my analysis, the codes of everything I'm going to do, right? I would say the most popular is either an R script or an R markdown. Okay, you can explore the R script at home. I think you're not gonna have time for it. And today we're gonna look at the R markdown. It has more features. It's quite cool. Okay, but everything in R, you may need to play around with it a little bit until you get familiar, right? I say it's very cool, but that's because I used it a lot. You may have a learning curve, until you learn it and find it as cool as I do. But I think it's worth it. So I'm gonna click R Markdown, and then I get this window, right? Let's just don't worry about those things. You can just click OK. So RStudio is opening this window, right? And R Markdown. I switched things around. Maybe if you're trying to do it, this R Markdown in your RStudio is gonna be up here, and the R console will be down here, right? That's, I think, is the default, but I switched it. Okay, so what is an R markdown? One thing you can do is click this button here, right? And it's if you're blind like myself, it's good for you to have it in a separate window like this, right? It's easier to see. So R and RStudio is at the back, and this R markdown is at the front, okay? So here, our markdown is just a text file that has things that we call chunks, right? Chunks are things where you have R code, right? And it has also text. The text is where you're going to add your comment, whatever you want. And the chunks is where you are going to write your R code, right? So you can explain what you're going to do, and then you can do it, and then you can explain again, and then you can do it again. And this way, you're going to have everything documented. And not only that, you can, once you have done, when you open R Markdown, you get this, which is an example, right? You already have some codes here, some writings, right? Just to give you a template. Now you can knit it, right? You can click this button here, right? And it will knit. It will. First you need to save it, right? Let's say example. And then it's gonna knit it, right? So it's gonna create an HTML file from this, which is quite cool. So, I didn't put any title, any author, so I don't have anything there. And then you have here the text, right? So if we go back, we have our markdown with 2 hashtags, right? So here it's the heading of the section, right? Here we have a link, right? And here we have a link. Here we have something bold, right? So you can do some formatting. See here, it's bold. So everything appears there, and you also have your R code and the result of that R code, okay? And then you have a new section, right? In the code, you have a new section, right? You have an R code. You close the chunk. So those are 3 back single quotes. right? You open and close it, and then once you close it, everything you write is going to be text again, and you can format it. This is going to be a heading because it starts with 2 hashtags. And then you have a new code, right? That's going to plot something. So here we have a plot. It's plotting something. Now we don't have the R code here because here it's saying echo equal false. Those things you are going to learn with time, right? If I don't want to show the code, how do I do? You Google search it and it's going to be right there. Just write echo equal false at the top and it's going to show the plot, but not the code, right? In the first one, it's showing the result and the code because echo is not equal false. So it's showing the code and the result of that code. And this is a very nice thing for you to have as a record, right? If you have it like this, it's very reproducible. Not only you can easily do it again, you can see the codes, you can see your comments there, but somebody else, right? They can do it again as well. Okay, this will also create a HTML file, right? Example. So I have an example RMD, so this is the markdown, and I have an example HTML. So that I can take this example.html and send it to my supervisor, send it to anybody that I want to show my statistical analysis, okay? Do you have any question there? I click here, it goes back to RStudio. Now, if you are working with an R markdown like this one, right, you have, let's say, this R code, you want to run it, you can copy it, Control C, Control V, and enter, right? So it runs. You can do that. You can type it there, summary first. Or what everybody does is just come here and put your pointers somewhere there, okay? And then you can see here in this where run, right? You can see if you want to run the line, that's control enter, right? So you can just press control enter and it's gonna run it, okay? Let's run it again, control enter. So every time you want to run something, control enter. Right, so in this case, like I said, right, I created a plot and this plot is appearing here in the plot. So I still have my files there, but now I have my plot here as well, okay? So you can come here and you can save the plot as an image or I usually copy it to clipboard. You can make it bigger and play around with it, okay? As you work, you're going to learn those things, right? But the thing I want you to see now is that you can easily have your R code in the markdown, and then from there, just Control Enter, run it, right? Throw it into the console and run it, okay? So that's how we do it, right? You always save your markdown, make sure you save it. You can come here in File. It is there, example.rmd, example.rmd. Okay, so it's there. So that's how our markdown works. Once you have this template, you can delete everything and create your own analysis, right? That is what I did in the .rmd file I sent to you. So I'm gonna close this. Right, and open the one I sent to you. It's called R and RStudio overview.rmd. Right, this one. So once I click there, it will show me the R markdown that I sent to you, right? If you want to take a look at it and you don't have R, you can open it in a text editor. You probably can open it even in Word, right? For example, I have Sublime Text. I can open it there. If you have Notepad or no, any text editor, you can open this guy here because there is only text there, okay? If you open it, if you click it here, and it's gonna open RStudio. So this first chunk is just some commands, right? That will make the output a little bit more fancy than what we saw in that HTML before. Here in the title, I'm also putting some more things here. So I'm giving it a title. I'm saying no name of my name there, author, right? And I'm asking R to print the date, right? That it was created. And then I'm starting like what we want to go through today, okay? Hopefully can go through it all. See what time is it? Oh my God, this thing here. Yeah, we only have 15 minutes and I have a meeting, so I'm not sure you're going to be able to go through all of this. But this is going to be your homework then to read through this and try to run it, okay? So, so when you come down here to the first chunk, I'm just running some things right in R. So for example, this is just a calculation, right? So I just control enter, so it calculates that. So here I'm creating a vector with some numbers there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm assigning that vector to the variable A, right? So when I do that, I control enter. Then here in my environment now I have, if I can see the history is capturing everything I type in. Everything that goes into the console is captured by the history. Okay, so that you have it there. It's good to know. Here now I have an object in my environment. This is my first object. It's A. A is an object of type numeric. Okay. A is an object of type numeric, and it's RStudio is showing it here. I have an A, and it's a numeric 1 to 5. Now, if I want to see what is in A, I can just type A and enter. It's going to show me what A is all about, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then you can start learning how to access elements of A, right? So in this case, elements 3 to 5, I'm accessing A. Elements 3 to 5, Control Enter. Well, elements 3 to 5 is 3, 4, and 5, right? Are those three elements. So that's a way for you to access elements in a vector, and you're going to use that for data frames and everything else, okay? So here I'm saying A is something different now. It's a sequence 1 to 100, right? You don't need to memorize any of that. Today is just more that you understand, you see how we type in code and how it runs. That's basically, I think, what we want for today. It's good that we start thinking more about, okay, there is a vector, there are positions in a vector, that's how we can access those positions, because those things are going to be useful when you're doing your analysis. Okay, so in this case, I'm creating a sequence, all right? So Control Enter. So now A is a different thing. It's still a integer, but now it's not 1 to 5, it's 1 to 100, right? So if you type A, it shows you what you have in A, right? And you have functions like sum, so you can sum A, Control Enter, like you can sum, and there are functions like means, maximum, minimum, all those things you're going to learn as you practice more and more. It's just so that you can see how things works in R, okay? Help in R. Help in R, you can get it by typing in a question mark and whichever command you want help for, right? So question mark sec is gonna give you Control Enter is gonna give you a help, right? In the help window here, it's gonna give you the help for this command sequence, okay? Our help, our documentation is not very friendly. No, you have to force yourself to use it and to understand it so that you start getting used to it because it's useful, right? It's not very friendly. So one thing that is useful is here, you know, the kinds of things you can specify. So I can define a sequence from a number to the other and by a jump, right? I can define a jump. But then I show this and you'll get lost, right? Don't know what is it. So what this by is all about. So you can come down here and see what is by all about and hopefully you have a better explanation. You can understand it, right? And usually at the end, at the very bottom, you're gonna have some examples, right? That you can copy and paste and run. Usually when you copy, paste, and run. Usually when you run examples, it's gonna be easier for you to understand what that command is doing, right? In this case, what the length out means. It means a sequence from 0 to 1 with this size, right? So it's calculating it for you. Our objects, so we have vectors. I have vectors, so in this case, to create a vector, you usually use this command C, okay? So C, and then you have values within that, that is a vector. So if I type Control Enter, it shows me that. Notice that I just specified the vector, but I didn't store it anywhere, right? So here I'm storing it in this variable x. Because if I do what I did here, I just see what it is in it, but I do not. It's lost, right? It's not anywhere. I can't use it. Now, if I do this one, Control Enter, then now it is that vector is saved. You know, it is in X. If I want to see it, I type X, Enter, and there you go. You have it, right? X is there, is our new object, right? The environment now has objects A and X, okay? X being a vector, you can assign a vector to a variable like this as well, right? You can also use the equal sign instead of this arrow here. You can use the equal sign. If you do a calculation, it's going to usually do a calculation with each element. So 1 over x will be 1 over 10.4, 1 over 5.6, and so on, right? It's going to go 1 over each element. Round, it's going to round all the elements with 3 decimals, okay? Multiply by 2 all the elements and so on. So you can do calculations, right? You can take the sum, mean, square root, and so on. You can have a vector with characters, Control R. So Y is a vector that doesn't have numbers, right? It has characters. When you class, it tells you the type of object. This is usually useful as well, right? So class of Y is a character, class of X is a numeric, right? You can also see it here in the environment. You can see that Y is a character. So you cannot do calculations with Y, right? Like we did with X. Missing values in R is usually specified by an NA, right? So it's going to appear as an NA. Other softwares usually shows it as a dot or a blank, but R is going to always show missing value as NA, right? We don't have much time, so we're gonna skip all this. You can run, that's your homework. Run all of this slowly so that you get a sense of what it does. Mean, so now x has an A, right? So if I do mean of x, I'm gonna get an A as a result because R doesn't know how to take the mean of something that has an A. So here what I'm doing is saying that NA dot RM, NA remove equal true, right? So I'm saying taking the mean of X, removing the MA. So if I run this now, R knows how to calculate the mean, right? So I need to remove the NA. You're gonna see this if you look in the help for the mean function, okay? And so on. I'm going to skip matrix and go into the data frame because we have some. I'm going to skip list as well because we have some assignment that involves data frame. Now, if the assignment is difficult, come to the office hours. We are going to solve the assignment together, right? You're not having much time. If you want to, again, you can also send me email if you think you didn't understand things. Maybe we can have another office hours if too many people don't understand things. So here I'm creating a data frame, Control R, okay? I'm creating a data frame. So it's called DT, right? So you don't need to worry about this. I just want to show you the data frame, DT. So this is data set, very small that I created, okay? I just created with those commands here. You can try to understand that command. So a data frame in R, usually each line will represent a subject and each column will be a characteristic of that subject, okay? Will be a characteristic of that subject. So here, for example, we have the first subject is John, has ID 1, age 28, is in the treatment group, and has PHQ-9 score 12, okay? So that's how a data set will always be in R, and that's how it has to be in order for you to do your data analysis, okay? If you look at what is a DT, class of DT, it is a data frame, right? Usually I will call it a data frame. Now, here you have some things that will be important for the assignment, which is how to access elements in the data frame, right? So here in this case, I'm access the first line and all columns, right? I'm not saying first line and first column, right? I'm leaving this blank. So it's first line and all columns. So that's John, right? So in that second one, all lines and all columns. Okay, that's going to be the data frame, the full data frame, right? Because both are blank. In this case, all line columns 3 to 8. This column, it means 2, right? So it's going to be column 3 to 8. All lines. So Control R, 3 to 5, right? Right, so it removed the columns 1 and 2. So in this case, I'm looking at column 3 and 5, right? Not 4, it's not 3 to 5, it's 3 and 5. So I create this little vector 3 and 5, and those are the columns. Line, I'm not specifying, meaning that it's all lines. Control R, right? So it's column 3 and 5. I'm skipping column 4, which is the treatment. So that's way of selecting things in the data set, right? So here I have all lines, column age and column PHQ-9, which is another way, right? So those two commands here, they do the same thing. One is by specifying the position and the other the name, okay, of the columns. I can also access column by using a dollar sign. So DT dollar age, that's going to be the age column, right? DT dollar. So here I don't have an SQRT of age, so I'm creating a new column, which is going to, the name is going to be SQRT, square root of age, and it's going to be the SQRT of the column age, right? So it's creating a new column in the data set, which is the square root of age. And so on. I think I will stop there. You can look at this to go over the assignment. This part is going to be important because this is going to, in general, be important if you for you to know how to access things in a data frame. If you're doing data analysis, right? So you don't need to really learn everything now, but it's good that you're doing it and getting a feeling for it. Okay, again, we are going to go over this kind of thing again next Wednesday from 11 to 12, right? That's, we're going to go over the assignment and questions you may have, okay? So I'm going to stop there and allow you to ask any question if you have any question. Nobody? Again, I don't want you to get behind. If you are not understanding, reach out